Today we're going to talk about how to save money on our food bill. Hello, my name's Rachel. I do videos about decluttering, minimalism and my no spend year. Today is a money themed video in which we're going to talk about how we can save some money on our food bill, as the cost of living crisis is making it far more difficult than ever to be able to buy what's good for us, what's healthy. But there are some tips and tricks that you can use to be able to have a really finite and concise budget for your food without having any wastage, which for me is really important. I think any way that you can save wastage on food is really important, so that you're maximising the most out of your money and you are eating well and eating healthily. And today I have 15 tips for you to help you save some money on your food budget. So let's get straight into it and see if we can start saving some money. Don't forget to leave me a comment as you go through the video, letting me know which ones you have maybe already tried or which ones you're going to try first of all to save some money. What's your budget? How does it work for you? For myself, I have me and my son, and we have a budget of around 250 to 280 a month for myself and a teenager, and he does eat a lot more now than what he used to maybe a year ago, and obviously I'm gluten free as well, so that means I have to spend a little bit extra on buying some gluten free options so that I can eat healthily and eat a range of foods. So that's always quite a challenge, but there are some really good tips to help you get going with saving some money on your food. So let me know in the comments below what your budget is, if it's similar, if it's different, how much do you spend, or what do you want to get it down to, and let's work together and see if we can help each other out and save some money in the process. Okay, my first tip is you need to stop takeaways and you need to try fakeaways. It can be so tempting when you're feeling down or when you're feeling like you're stressed or you're busy at work to just reach for a takeaway menu and go and get a takeaway rather than cook. However, it's not going to serve your wallet in the long run. It is a very pricey way to eat, and I'm sure you know that it's a very pricey way to eat, but there are ways that you can have similar foods but in a cheapened version. So you want to do fakeaways. You can get them at the supermarkets where you get like these meal deals that are kind of partly ready-made that you can just put together or cook at home, and all the hard work is done for you. That would still be a cheaper way than actually having the takeaway, or you make the takeaway yourself at home. And there are some great recipes online that are absolutely free that can help you come up with some really good fakeaways for your favourite meals. So go and check out some different recipes that can help you get that fix without the hefty price tag. My second tip is to create an inventory of your cupboards, your fridge and your freezer. This is a crucial step in meal planning, and if you want to get the most out of your money, you need to know exactly what you've already got, that you can already utilise, that you've already paid for, that you can then make sure that you use. And also, if you're using up things on a regular basis, you know exactly what you've got. It means that you're going to have less opportunities for food waste. Things aren't going to expire because you're regularly checking through what you've already got. You're then not going to buy items that you've already got quite a few of already, because you've already done an inventory list and you know exactly what you've already got. So although it takes a little bit of time, it will benefit you in the long run by knowing how much you've already got in the cupboards when you go to writing a shopping list. It does take out some of the legwork later down the line if you can do it now. So in a complete inventory, so what you need to do is write down all the items that are in your food cupboard. You need to say how many there are of them. So for example, soup, have you got 2 cans of soup? That's what you'd write, soup, 2 cans. I tend to write a list and then I put the number portions next to it. That seems to be my go-to easy strategy. Then I can just write the date at the top, and then I can write a new line of numbers next to it when I do another check like a week or a month later. I've already written down the main items, and then just need to add anything if there's anything different, or I just write down the new numbers next to it. So I tend to do that on probably a monthly basis. You can do it weekly to keep a check on things a little bit more, but it does help when you're meal planning. And with items in the freezer, again, like for sweet corn, etc., I will write roughly how many portions there are, or if it's a whole bag, half a bag, so that I can know roughly when I would need to purchase another one. So that I'm not overfilling, I'm not overstocking, but I know roughly where I'm at. This leads into tip number 3, where you're going to create a list of meals using the items that you already have. So what meals can you pretty much get together from the ingredients that you already have? Do you already have chicken? Do you already have vegetables? Can you make a roast, like a mini roast dinner? That's one meal because you've already got everything you need to make that meal. Could you do croutons because you've already got the chicken, you've already got breadcrumbs, you've already got some sides and stuff. Think about all the meals that you can create that you already have the items for, and anything that you might be slightly missing on those items, it could be added to the shopping list. So for example, if you have everything to make a roast bar the chicken, you would just put chicken on your list. So it means that you're then very much aware of what you're using up, and you're only buying essentials that you need for the meal. My 4th tip is to make sure that you are meal planning for the week or for the month. I tend to do a weekly basis and know roughly what meals are going to happen in that week. I don't necessarily allocate them a specific day, but it's nice to know roughly, okay, at some point we're going to have a curry this week, at some point we're going to have a pizza, at some point we're going to have a roast dinner, and then I roughly map out exactly what I would need for each of those. I'd use my inventory list to be able to then make a list of items that I need that I don't already have, so that I'm really precise with my shopping list because I've mapped out exactly what meals they're going to have. You could go as far as mapping out lunches and breakfasts. I personally don't, just because of it being a really easy system that I already have in place. So breakfast is always the same thing, it's like toast for me, and it's like pain au chocolat or cereal for my son, so they're pretty consistent. And lunch wise, it's little packed lunch stuff for some days of the week for my son, and I usually have either leftovers or I have a batch cook of enchiladas or jacket potatoes, so it's really straightforward. I don't have to map out really that much for that. So, but you could map out exactly what you're going to have for lunches roughly each week as well, so that you know that you've got the ingredients for that. So that leads into tip number 5, which is create a shopping list with only the essentials that you need on your list. Shop from your cupboards first using your inventory, then anything you do not have is what you would add to the list, and the idea is that you stick to the list and you don't deviate from the list. That is what you use when you're shopping. If it's not on the list, it ain't going in the basket, it's not going in the trolley. Number 6 is to avoid stockpiling cleaning products and any other household items. You don't need a batch of 10 cleaning sprays for the bathroom, for the kitchen, etc. It's stockpiling for the sake of it. Yes, I agree that it's kind of helpful to buy when things are on offer, but you don't need large amounts of stockpile. You just need your next one available. And usually with promotions, they tend to be like on a monthly basis. So if you buy it 1 month, chances are by the time you're ready to buy it again, it's probably on offer again anyway. So try and avoid stockpiling. My next tip, in order to avoid going for takeout or wanting to avoid cooking or going unhealthy, is to make sure that you plan in simple meals for days when you know that you're going to be really busy, or when you know you've got a long day at work, just so that you are prepared for those times and you have already factored in a really simple but healthy, easy go-to meal like stir fry or a pizza that can be thrown in the oven, so that you are kind of best utilising your time and your energy. My next tip is to plan vegetarian meals each week. It doesn't have to be that you're always doing vegetarian, but meat is quite an expensive commodity. It's an expensive thing to have, and actually going vegetarian for a couple of meals is going to save you a little bit of money. There's no reason why you can't have a stir fry without the chicken. It could just be stir-fried veg with sauce and noodles or rice noodles, etc. It doesn't have to be laden with meat. There are lots of different ways that you can do things, like a curry doesn't have to be meat. You could have sweet potato and chickpea curry. That's always a nice alternative. try mixing it up and avoiding meat on a few occasions a week. My next tip is to get in the habit of planning in a few cheap meals each week. So cheap meals, by that I'm meaning like jacket potatoes, beans on toast, something that is still giving you food but it's like an easy, cheap option for you to be able to save some money. It won't be for everybody, but I am sure that if you are really tight on a budget, you'll be very used to this. I have very much done this when I've been on a £20 a week food budget, probably a good 6 or 7 years ago. It is totally doable to do that, and you can be creative then with toppings. So if you batch cook like a chilli, for example, have extra pots of the chilli put in the freezer so that you can have that on jacket potato. So you've just got some more interesting options for some easy, quick and simple meals that are really cheap. Leading on to batch cooking where you can. If you can batch cook at least once a week, it will help you to save money, because that's one time when you're using the hob or the oven to make the meal, and then you can freeze portions into the freezer for another day or another week. If you do it on a weekly basis, it means that there's going to be a meal in your next week that you don't have to then cook. So you're kind of reducing a lot of your cooking time so that you have an easier kind of system moving forward, and you can use those for your meal plans in future weeks. Alternatively, what you can do, like I do, is use them for lunches. So if you batch cook, you could then have leftovers for the next couple of days for lunch. So it just makes you think about different ways that you can utilise your cooking so that you're getting goodness on a regular basis but without all of the effort. My next tip is to batch cook or batch prep your lunch for the week. If you can know exactly what you're going to have for your lunches, you can prepare that in advance on the Sunday so that you do not have to worry about what's going to happen, and it will then also mean that you're not then popping to the shop for lunch or getting a meal deal at a local supermarket. You've already prepared and you're getting a cheaper option by doing that. Avoid buying lunch at different places on a daily basis by batch cooking or batch preparing your lunch. My go-to here for batch cooking lunches is enchiladas or jacket potatoes, and I tend to get as much veg as I can into the enchiladas so that they're really healthy. My next tip is to bake cakes yourself rather than buy them. It is much cheaper to bake a cake at home than it is to buy, especially if you're gluten-free, because you can get a really tiny slice for about £4 when I can make a huge cake or a huge batch of brownies for myself. Buying cakes or sweet treats is something that you should avoid and try and make them yourself. My next tip is to make sure that you plan simple puddings if you need them. I tend to not have pudding in my house. We don't often have it. It's kind of like a treat thing, like maybe at the weekend, but it's not a general thing that we do. If we do, we try and stick to things like yogurts or homemade ice lollies, or kind of using a lolly maker with like smoothie mix. So it's not really having a big fancy pudding. I think that does save you a lot of money by not having the excess, or keep it simple, like just a couple of scoops of ice cream in a bowl. So it's not complicated, it's not going to cost you lots, and it's much more doable. My next tip is to do a price comparison of your shop on a regular basis, maybe like once a month or so that you can know exactly where is best to buy your products that you buy on a regular basis. Because I think there's now a lot more competition going on and the prices are fluctuating. It's really important that you know where is cheapest. At the minute, I'm very much an Aldi person, but I know that they're sneaking up their prices, so it is a really good opportunity now for me to price comparison and see if there are some things that are cheaper in other supermarkets, because I already have to go elsewhere for gluten-free, so it's not really a big deal if I need to get a couple of other bits there at the same time. So it might be that you shop around for different products in different stores to get the best out of your money. And my final tip is to track your receipts so you know exactly how much you're spending on a weekly basis on food. By tracking it each week, you're going to know whether or not you're sticking to your budget, and it's going to help you kind of adjust or tweak or know when to be spending less, because you know that you need to keep within the budget. So having a budget set for the month is going to help you know whether or not you're working in the right direction, if it's achievable, but keeping track of receipts is going to help you do that. So there are 15 tips of how to save money on your food shop so that you can get the most out of your money and avoid any food waste. Let me know in the comments below what you think and which ones you're going to try first, and I shall be back for more videos on decluttering, minimalism and my no spend year. Don't forget, if you are decluttering your home, I also have a Declutter Your Life planner, the Little Acts of Decluttering planner, and it has goal setting, it has a schedule, it has a declutter checklist so that you can focus in on different areas within your home. So do check that out if you're looking at decluttering. I shall be back for more videos soon. Take care, bye.